Hey, yo, what up, though, fellas? Back at it again with another video. Because, we improving every day. Today, you see the length of the video. It's going to be quick, going to be a short one. I'm going to just drop a quick jewel on y'all. Today, I want to share the most neglected muscle group when it comes to building strength, being your strongest self over and under that barbell, or even with dumbbells, even with calisthenics sometimes. That most neglected muscle group is the upper back. Now, most of the time, when I say this to people, they get really confused, especially on lifts like the overhead press, the bench press, the squat. They can't even fathom why having a strong upper back would be important in any sense. They don't understand why it's relevant. I might look at a guy squat and say, you need a thicker upper back. Look at his bench press, so you need a thicker upper back, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm gonna explain. Power, force generation, all these things, whatever you want to label it as, all of these are kinetic energies. What do I mean by kinetic energies? I mean that these energies start from your feet and they go all the way through your fingertips. That energy, that force production travels throughout your whole body. So if you have certain muscles that are weak, that you can't keep tight, that you don't know how to flex or use, that you don't know how to isometrically hold, that you don't know how to force energy through, those are going to be areas where you bleed strength. And the upper back is such an important area in most lifts. If you bleed strength from the upper back, you're going to be bleeding most of your strength at that point. So let's think about a bench press. On a bench press, what is the muscle group that attaches you to the bench? Your upper back. So when you unrack a bench press, your energy, if you use leg drive or not, your feet are on the ground. You have power coming from your feet, up your shins, through your quads, through your core. Once that energy hits your upper back, if your upper back is weak, it's gonna bleed. What do I mean by bleed? Basically, I mean leak. You're gonna start leaking energy. Why? Because if your upper back is weak, even your mid back, your thoracic back, if it's weak, you won't be able to keep your back tight. You won't be able to keep your scapula retracted. When you complete the eccentric portion of the bench press on the way down, when it's time to hit the concentric and push the bar back up, if your upper back is weak, your scapula is going to detract. Once that happens, then your shoulder girdle becomes loose. And when that happens, the strength that's supposed to go through your arms, particularly through your triceps, and then through your forearms, through your fingertips, all of that is going to be suppressed. All that is going to be gone because it bled through the upper back. Let's think about an overhead press. On an overhead press, I'm talking about a real overhead press, not necessarily a bodybuilding overhead press where you might do partial range of motion, but an actual overhead press from the collarbone. Starting from the collarbone, what is the main muscle driver that is pushing that bar up? It's your upper back, as you may have guessed it. If you have a weak lower back and you try to start an overhead press at the collarbone, you're not really going to be able to, first of all, lean back to get the bar path correct. Your bar path is going to be off because you're going to be trying to use all shoulder, all tricep, instead of being able to kickstart the motion with your upper back in that curvature, which will then shoot the bar up to the point where you can truly utilize the shoulders and the triceps where they're meant to be utilized. Let's move to a squat. It's almost the same as a bench. On the squat, your feet start at the ground. Obviously, that's where the energy starts. It shoots all the way up to your upper back and then through your shoulder girdle, through your arms, to your fingertips. If you have a weak upper back and a mid back, because really in the squat, most of that power leakage in most lifters happens in the thoracic area, that mid back, or the area between the mid and upper back. If that area is weak, if there's no integrity in that area, what's going to happen? You're going to lose that scapular retraction. Once you lose that scapular retraction, what happens? That's when you see a lot of guys, their spine curves over, almost like a C, instead of being erect. Instead of being strong, pulled back, retracted, you contracting your traps, actively contracting that area. No, it's going to curve over. And then what happens? the weight starts to fold you. Basically, the weight starts to fold you. Let's think about a deadlift. If you have a weak upper back, weak mid back, what happens? Cat back deadlift. You're not able to keep your back contracted, so it's going to curve over. Usually in most people, that just leads a whole chain of events that's all bad. Usually when people's upper backs can't hold the weight, their upper back curves over, then their lower back starts curving over, and then that's how people get injured. With the exception of elite lifters. You know, when guys are deadlifting 650, 700, 800 pounds, you're not going to just have a completely contracted mid and upper back. There's going to be some thoracic rounding, but they know how to do that with a purpose. They're not doing it because they're not strong enough. They're doing it with a reason. They're keeping their lower back, their lumbar spine nice and straight, nice and neutral. But in most novices, intermediates, when their thoracic back gives, their lower back does as well. And then that's how bad things happen. And that's why the deadlift gets a bad rap. So that's all I'm gonna leave y'all with. The upper back. If you want to get stronger in all your lifts, get a stronger upper back. That's why I always emphasize guys to focus more on their barbell rows. Focus more on your barbell row. I think your barbell row for reps of 5 should at least be somewhere, give or take, within 20 pounds of your bench press for 5. It should be, if not more, because that'll ensure that you have a balance of strength through your back and your chest, from your posterior to your anterior in regards to the torso. You don't want to have an extremely strong anterior, talking about chest, upper chest, pecs, and then have a weak back. You got weak traps, weak upper lats. You aren't able to contract your scapula and hold it for lengths of time. You don't want that mistake. And a lot of dudes make that mistake, and then they end up with a lot of debt that they have to make up. They have a lot of tonnage debt. So then they have to double the amount of back work they do in comparison to the chest work. And then that just kind of skews your training in all the wrong directions. So key takeaway, get a strong upper back, thick upper back. Be able to hold isometric contractions with your upper back. And that'll keep you from constantly bleeding power in your lifts, especially in lifts like your overhead press, where you're really not even bleeding strength. You just not getting the strength you need altogether. And in a bench press where you might use the leg drive, have your core brace, and then your upper back comes, and then all the blood leaks onto the floor. So that's the topic for the day, man. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Peace.